What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? In this video we will start going over variables in Golang. Alright, so a variable is a piece of storage containing data temporarily. So I have these two boxes on the screen, right? And one signifies that we're going to be storing a name in that box, and one signifies that we're going to store age in that box, right? So that's how you can think of a variable. It's a box containing data, right? And the hexadecimal that you see under the name is its memory location. So that's how Golang knows where that information is going to be stored. That's the memory location in memory, right? This is going to be how Golang knows that when you specify that you want to retrieve a name, that is the memory location where it's going to be stored. And for age, it's the same thing. That memory location under the name of age is where Golang is going to store that data. So when we say that we want age, Golang goes to that memory location and it grabs that data in that location and provides us with that information. So I like to think of it hypothetically like a cardboard box. When you're moving, you put in your furniture and into one box. You put in your kitchen utensils into one box. You tape it up and you write kitchen on that box, or you write you write furniture on another box. So you know that when you put that box into your storage container until you move in, when you get that box, right, you know, okay, this is all my kitchen material, or this is all my furniture material in that box, right? So that's how Golang knows, okay, this is where name is being stored. I see that it's a name because that's what we define the name to be, and I see this is going to be age because this is what we define the name to be for age. It's just going to be a box of age, and this is where the location is, or this is where I have to check where it is. So that's what a variable is. It's just a box that stores temporary data. Now, how to declare a variable in Go. So you can see from the first line, it's fairly simple. You have the keyword var and the actual name of which we want to store that variable as. So we have two here, so var name and we have var age. And what we have to do after that is specify the type of that variable. So string in Golang just means that it's a series of characters, so you can just think of text. And int just means that it's going to be an integer, so it's going to just be a large number. It's not going to be decimal, but it's going to be like 1, 2, 3 up to a max threshold. And we're going to talk more about that later on in the series. I'm going to have one dedicated to types in Golang, because there's a lot of types that Golang specify, and int has various options. But in this case, you could just think of int as a number. Now, declaring just means what the name specifies. We're just declaring that we're going to have a variable of this name and of this type. Now, to actually store something in that variable, we're going to, initialize it. All right, so we declared it, but now we're going to initialize it. We're going to actually give that, variable a value. So you can see that we're giving name the, geo as, the string that's going to hold. And you can see that a string has to be specified as, being within two quotations. That just let Go know that, okay, this is going to be a string, and within that string is going to be geo. It's a series of characters, gio. And then there's going to be the integer, which is going to be age, and that's just going to be 40. And I'm not 40, but that's just going to be the age that's going to be stored in that variable. Now, if you already know from the get-go that we want to store geo as the name, you can just do it in one line. So the last thing to show was the one line initialization, which for our name, we know that we want to specify the name to be name, and we know we want to give the type as a string because we know we're going to be storing text, and we're just going to make that equal to geo. The equal just means that we're assigning that value to that variable. So just think of equal as, okay, assignment. We're assigning this value to this variable. All right, so that is how you declare a variable, and that's how you initialize a variable. And if you want to just do it in one go, like just one line, you could just do the declaration and the initialization all mashed into one. Now, like I said, there's various ways of creating a variable. Another way we can do it is letting Golang infer the type. So before we had to specify, okay, the name is going to be a string or the age is going to be an int, but we're in 2022 at the time of recording, and programming languages are pretty smart, right? So we can let them infer the type of whatever we're going to assign to the variable. So in this case, we have name, and remember before we had to specify, okay, this is going to be a variable and this is going to be a type string. But Golang is able to realize that, okay, if we have, these two quotes, this is most likely going to be a string. So I'm going to set name to be a string, but the user doesn't have to specify that it's going to be a string because I can see that it's a string. And for age, I can see that it's, it doesn't have a decimal, and it's 50. So this is most likely an int. So we don't even have to put that anymore. We can just let Golang infer that. And to make sure that Golang has the right to infer that, because we have to give Golang the right to, we can't just assume that Golang should do that automatically. We should let Golang know that, okay, by doing it this way, we're letting Golang take control. So all you have to do is add a colon in front of the equal, and you pretty much let Golang know that we're letting you take control, letting you infer the type. And we don't even have to put var, we don't have to put the type anymore. Just put the colon in front of the assignment operator, which is equal, and we're good to go. And that pretty much shortens it by a lot, and it saves some time. So if you want to let Golang do his thing, you can do that. Let Golang put on his glasses and do his thing. You can do that. Just let it infer the type. But if you want more control, then you can just specify the type yourself, like we did in the previous section of this tutorial. So now let's actually take a dive into some code and play around with some variables and go from there. All right, so let's get to coding. So I already have a main.go and a module file for this main.go, so we should be good to go. All right, you don't have to laugh, but let's create some variables, and we're just gonna create the variables that we had that we saw in the previous step. So let's just create a name and an age variable. So like I said, you can always declare, and let's do name, and we're gonna make this a string, and this is gonna show a squiggly line because we're not using it right now. Like I said, Go's linting is pretty great because it lets you know, okay, if you're not using a variable, then just remove it. You're not using it. But let's just create another one, and we're gonna call this age, and this is gonna be a type int, because you can't be, well, you could be 5.5, but that doesn't show up on your birth certificate or anything like that. They usually do as whole numbers. And then let's actually initialize it. So let's make it name equal to Gio, just like how we saw it, and let's do age is equal to 40. Save it. All right, so cool. Now let's actually print this out. So we're going to use the FMT library to actually print out things in Golang. We saw this in the previous video. When we print out hello world, it comes with a lot of methods to actually do things. So you can scan, you can print. Right now we're just going to print. So we're just going to do print format because we want to inject these variables into this print statement that we're about to write. So let's open up a parentheses and a quotation. I'm going to say my name is, and I'm going to put in this modulus s so that it knows that we're going to inject in a string, and comma my age is, and then we're going to put in modulus d because we know we're about to put in a number, and let's put a comma because we're about to put in the two variables that we're going to inject in, because it's expecting a string and it's expecting a number, which is signified by this modulus d. And then if we put in name and we put in age, you see the squiggly lines disappear, meaning because we're using it here, and FMT is showing this squiggly line because we didn't import FMT. But if we save it, it should automatically import FMT, and we should be good to go. So if I just do go run dot, it should run our file, and we should see my name is Gio. Actually, no, let me put a /n, or \n. So I can make sure that this is on a new line, because this is printing in a specific format that we specify, but it's not printing on a new line. So to specify that we want to print on a new line, we have to put this \n. So let me just clear that out and run it again, and boom, it's going to be on a new line. So my name is Gio, which is what we have as the name variable. What it does is it goes to this name that we declared. It looks at the memory location. It retrieves the value that we assigned to it and injects it here. Same thing with age, and we see what we expect. And like I said before, we can always just do this in one go. So if I just take this out and I make this equal to Geo, since we already know from the get-go that's going to be the name that I'm going to assign to it. Even for age, we can do that as well. If we're going to assign it automatically to 40, we can do that. Save it, and then I'm gonna clear it again, and I'm going to run it, and boom, I see the same thing. All right, and also, right, if we don't even want to, if we want Golang to just infer the type, we just remove int, which is, and then we move the keyword for both. Or actually, let me just do one. I'm just gonna let them infer the age, right? I'm just gonna put a colon in front of this assignment operator, and then everything is good. Let me save that. I'm gonna clear it again. I'm gonna run it, and then boom, it's still gonna print out. It's still gonna be considered a decimal. And if I even do this for the string, just so you guys can see I'm not lying, and I clear that out, I run it again, boom, it's gonna see that this is a string, because if it wasn't a string, then it wouldn't let me inject it with this format, and we're good to go. Another cool thing that we can do is treat variables a little bit like Costco. We can make them in bulk. So let's do that really quick. All right, so let's create a var, right? And let's open up some parentheses. And then now we can start defining variables inside of it, because now we're gonna make it in bulk. We're gonna make many, in one sitting. So first we're gonna do bio. Like, let's say for instance we're making we already have name and age, so let's say we are making a bio to describe who we are and what we want to do, and we also have a model for ourselves, because we're just going to be describing things about ourselves, and we're going to call this a string. Now another cool thing about Golang is that if you have multiple variables and they're going to be of the same type, you can just simply put the type at the end, and it knows that both of these variables are going to be string. So you don't need a string for both of them. You can just put it at the end, and it's just going to know that bio and model is going to be both strings. And now we can assign it a value, and first we're going to assign a value to bio. So my bio would be trying to make the world, see if I can spell properly, a better place. Right, and then another one, so we got to separate it by a comma because we already have two on this line. So that means now we're going to assign a value to model, and I'm gonna make that equal to go and get it, because the world don't stop for you. You got to go and get whatever you're trying to get. So that would be my bio, and that would be my model. All right, and then now we can specify, maybe we want to know our height in inches, so we can do height in inch. And the height in inch is going to be int, and we're going to set that equal to 72. And we can save that, and these squiggly lines are just going to show that we're not using it, just like before. If we're not using it, then the Golang linting is going to be mad, but we're about to use it in a few. So this is how you make variables in bulk. Just open up some parentheses with the keyword or variable in the front, and now we can start defining some variables within these parentheses, and now they're accessible just like how these were accessible. We don't have to make them line by line. We can just make them in bulk. And let's actually use it. So I'm not going to actually print it, write these printouts again one by one. I'm just going to copy and paste them here from what I already have in my notes. So the first line is going to be my model is, and then printing out the model. I'm going to print out my bio is, printing out the bio. So just like how we did before. This modulus s just means that we're going to inject a string, and model and bio are strings, so we know that that's what we're going to inject here, and we're going to print out on a new line, and then we're going to have a height. This is going to be an int, so we're just printing out the height in inches as a decimal. So now if I save this, and let me clear this out, and I do go run dot, boom. Now you see my name is Gio, my age is 40, my model is go and get it, my bio is trying to make the world a better place, and my height is 72. So isn't that cool? We have variables, we're able to store information, we're able to create it in bulk, we're able to let Golang infer the type if we want to, or we can specify the type ourselves. Um, and there's more to come. We're able to print it out in a format that we want. We're able to inject these variables in a way that we want. And as the application gets bigger, these variables are going to become more necessary because we don't have to retrieve this information all the time. We can just simply store that data in a variable and use it whatever way that we want. So that is how you create variables in Golang, and that's how you use them.